webinar slash presentation slash demonstration of Nintex Workflow Cloud. We're going to wait 1 or 2 minutes just to give a couple more people a chance to attend. Then we're going to get going. If you have any questions while we're waiting, certainly please put them in the chat box. Probably keep questions till the end, but certainly want to make sure that they're addressed. So if you put them in the chat box as we move forward. Thank you. Just 1 more minute. Well, okay, I think we're going to begin. Once again, thanks to all of you for attending. As I said, my name is Bat Melishevsky. I'm with CDH, and today we're going to be doing a demonstration of Nintex Workflow Cloud. This is a new product from Nintex. It actually was just released to the general public right before Thanksgiving, so it's very new. I think the email said I was our resident Nintex expert. Whereas I love the title, that sometimes is not true. We have a team of experts who actually do a lot of development in Nintex. I'm just more the point of contact, and I think that's important just to kind of show, as somebody on the account team, I have the ability to do demonstrations. So as we go through this, I'm going to be really showing you kind of a high-level overview of Nintex Workflow Cloud, also kind of compare and contrast it to the other Nintex products that are out there. I also have on the phone with me Brad Orlick. He is a true expert. He is one of the tech evangelists from Nintex. He's going to be stepping in at the end to show some of more of the sophisticated functionality as well as answer some questions about roadmap or functionality overall. As I said before, if you have any questions, certainly put them into the chat box. We'll do our best to get them answered. And obviously, once again, this is a new product. A lot of development and new features are coming out. So just from what I've seen from kind of the beta launch to today, we'll talk a little bit more about the connectors that are coming out. It's a pretty exciting product, and it's evolving as we move forward. So just to begin, first of all, if for some reason you can't see my screen or something, if I'm going too fast, please let me know, and I'll try to address that by slowing down or making sure the slides are up. I'm with CDH, as I said, and we're a IT consulting organization. And I don't want to spend too much time on who we are because this is more about Nintex and more about the Workflow Cloud solution that they have. But as a consulting organization, it's our job to help our clients really to solve challenges which they have in their business by using IT solutions. And we consider ourselves agnostics. You know, over the past 26 years, though, we've realized that 80% of our clients have Microsoft technologies, and we built a really robust platform and a solution set and a services team around Microsoft solutions. Been in business for 26 years, covered the whole state of Michigan with offices in Grand Rapids and Detroit. 40 really good consultants on staff to really help solve solutions. Microsoft partner, you know, we're agnostic when it comes to technology. We pride ourselves on not being a reseller. I only say that because the only product we do resell is minText. That kind of speaks very highly to the product because we believe that much in it. Also do a little bit of work in the Amazon Web Service space, and as New Horizons Learning Center is a partner of ours as well. So as I said, 80% of our business is in the Microsoft space, and primarily very proud of that. We're competent in the Microsoft platform, 3 gold, 2 silver, so certainly know what we're doing. A variety of awards over the years, highly rated and pinpoint. Actually named one of Microsoft's top 200 partners in the U.S. If you're a follow college sports, top 200 is not a good place to be, but in Microsoft world there's over 100,000 partners, so top 200 is something we're pretty proud of. It's like being perennial top 10, I guess you could say. So certainly excited about that award, and something we're shouting from the mountaintops, you could say. A little bit more about us as well, and we'll talk more so about why we're talking about Nintex as well as workflow solutions. But we do a lot of work in the infrastructure place. That's Microsoft System Center, cloud computing, moving companies to the cloud. That's Office 365, that's Azure. That's also the security play. Very robust team there. Obviously, we do all things SharePoint. We're known in the Midwest for our intranets, our workflow solutions. Development, building really, applications within the SharePoint realm to automate business processes, develop dashboards, business intelligence portals. With that, we also make sure it looks pretty, right? We have a stellar, and I can't say that enough, stellar user experience team when it comes to design, but also more about the information architecture and how to get to the information quicker. Also help with product development for software companies, and application development, taking that one step beyond SharePoint with a select team of .NET developers who work on custom applications, do product development in mobile as well as the desktop space. And also have a PM component over all of that, which makes sure we promise on what we deliver, and we also offer that as a service. So don't want to spend too much time on that, but certainly getting the background of our organization is important as to why we utilize the tools such as Nintex. And just briefly to tell you a little bit about our history with Nintex, we were developing workflow solutions, out-of-the-box solutions within SharePoint, SharePoint Designer, InfoPath, a little custom application. And about 5-6 years ago, we ran across Nintex and realized as consulting organization the value it brought to us. Right, we're always trying to improve ourselves, looking for better tools to make us more efficient, get the job quicker. And Nintex was a solution which really resonated with us. So, as being consultants, our first and foremost is to get solutions which make sense to our clients. And so we decided to become a reseller of Nintex, because of its technology advancement against the current SharePoint tools. And I think it resonates with what we're looking for is, what we're looking for as consultants is always trying to push the boundaries of technology. Nintex is doing the same thing when they look at, future forward thinking with the products that they developed, and speaks very well into kind of their story that they have in regards to the marketplace, right? And really the marketplace that all organizations currently have. Business worlds are changing, right? I mean, disruptors don't set out to beat you at your own game to change the rules, and really business are changing. Companies such as Blockbuster, Kodak, kind of titans of industries that have been around for a long time, they're gone. I mean, 10 years ago, I was telling my wife that I thought Blockbuster was going to be around forever, maybe 15 years ago, but now they're empty stores. Kodak, is gone. And you have other companies such as, Uber, Airbnb, don't have a lot of, bricks and mortar stores. They don't rent cars. They don't actually own any hotels, but their market cap on those companies are growing. And it just kind of shows the way that you have to be nimble in your approach to business, just not externally, but also internally. Us as a consulting company has got to be looking at ways to make our products better or make our services better and bring new things to the market. Product companies such as Nintex have to make sure they evolve, right? SharePoint's a great platform, but it's not the end-all, be-all. and there's other technologies out there that you have to interface with. And companies and organizations and businesses, IT departments, they have to continue the different solutions and applications out there and quickly adjust to the needs of the marketplace. And the marketplace might be your client base, it might be the U.S. industry as a whole, or it just might be to internal business departments that you have. So it's something when Nintex developed the Nintex Workflow Cloud, they wanted to consider the people within the organization. They're the ones with the knowledge, with the processes, what the processes should be, which you see in the right quadrant, but also you have a multitude of tools that organizations use to get their solutions done. Office 365, Dropbox, Salesforce, SAP. All these are different tools, but sometimes they don't do it well, and you have to combine those tools to really make the processes best, right? So whereas before, Nintex only looked at SharePoint as kind of the solution that it had. Obviously, you can integrate with other ones. They're thinking big picture and want to give a solution for all applications, and they want to also make sure it has that same usability and dynamic capabilities that their other product lines has as well. So with that, they developed Nintex Workflow Cloud. Once again, fast and easy, intuitive workflow design, very similar if you're familiar with the previous SharePoint Nintex platform or the Office 365 platform. Easy to use, just not for developers, for business users. But it's taken it one step further. It's going to be powerful and connected, right? It's going to integrate with third-party applications with different types of connectors and different ways to connect and pull that data out. And lastly, it's going to live on its own out in the cloud. It's not based upon SharePoint. So it's going to be something unique and different, and something to kind of wrap your head around, and something I've had to do. I've been doing Nintex demos for the past 3 years, and having it not live in that piece in the SharePoint realm and having those forms is you have to kind of figure out where that data is coming from before you manipulate it and change it around. So it's something to really think about as you look at this product. So just briefly, wanted to take you over, before we start talking about it, wanted to take you to just re-familiarize everybody with kind of what the old Nintex forms are. This is for Office 365, just to re-familiarize yourself. If you don't know what Nintex forms for Office 365 or SharePoint is, the forms piece is a designer which allows you to create more dynamic, user-friendly forms based upon the lists that you have in SharePoint, right? So great tool. You can give it a new look and feel. There's a lot of different capabilities over on the left-hand side with calculated values, geolocations, just a multitude of different tools to really make a dynamic form for capturing that data that you have to manipulate with a workflow. Then obviously on the workflow side, you have, this is an employee leave form. Once again, that drag and drop capability of sending emails, assigning tasks, creating list items within SharePoint, and really completing a complete package when it comes to a workflow, right? So want to re-familiarize yourself with everybody to kind of see what the SharePoint version of Nintex look like, and so when we go back to the Nintex Workflow Cloud, kind of understand the differences and the nuances and why they did things the way that they did. So going back to the demo, let me get back to the slides, excuse me. So first of all, sorry about that. I want to talk a little bit about the workflow designer as a whole. So it's the most important when Nintex came up in Nintex Workflow Cloud. They want to make sure it had that intuitive workflow use and easeability to design workflows fast and easy, right? Wanted to still have those same great capabilities that you had for designing, the actions within the workflow, right? If it's for collecting information or the logic and flow. They also want to make sure that it supports multiple web browsers, just like the other versions did as well, right? So that was paramount to this, right? New technology, but also had the same look and feel that the older technology had. On the form side, as I said, it's a little different to wrap your head around about it because it doesn't live in SharePoint. You're not going into a SharePoint intranet and clicking on a expense reimbursement form where you create a form. You're tying into different applications. So we're, most importantly, with these forms, we're capturing data. We're capturing mission-critical data, as the slide says. And where that data comes from is a multitude of different locations, right? First of all, you might be the Nintex Workflow Cloud, and we'll show you this. We'll get the ability to create public web forms with custom URLs. We could have some data forms which you can collect, which are published, which you can use for any type of device, or desktop or mobile. And then there's also going to be a mobile piece as well. So Nintex Workflow Cloud is going to give you the ability to actually integrate with the Nintex mobile piece, so you can actually have handheld devices where you're capturing that information. Right? Workers aren't always, at their desktop. People work from home. People work on the road. They work at coffee shops or with their kids grocery shopping and taking emails and needing to get things done. So Nintex, as they had developed already with their Nintex App Studio, has integrated that piece with Nintex Workflow Cloud. So another great location where you can collect data from. Next piece also are those kind of third-party applications, right? Salesforce CRM, NetSuite, Box, Dropbox, Microsoft Dynamics CRM. There is more which you'll see in the demonstration, OneDrive for Business. So what we're going to be able to show you is that we're going to be able to pull data from these third-party applications to kick off workflows. So maybe it's somebody creating a new record in Salesforce, or maybe somebody's putting a document in OneDrive. What you're going to be able to see is we're going to give you the ability to pull out that information, kick off the workflow in Nintex Workflow Cloud, do all those actions that you need to do, and then obviously if you need to dump data back into a different application, you can do that, or if you have to integrate with a SQL environment, we're going to give you the tools to be able to do that with these connectors here. Okay? So once again, that data is coming from different locations, but once you get the data into the system, right, we're going to still give you that great platform that you have the ability to look and feel and move through the organization and do the steps that you need to based upon the complexity of your organization as well as the complexity of the workflow. We'll show you some of those capabilities here momentarily. And lastly, we're still going to give you all those great tools that you had in SharePoint, Nintex Workflow, communication, logic and flow, the operations collections, and those integration pieces too. Okay? Lastly, lazy approval. We're calling it express approval. That gives organizations the ability to really, approve or direct tasks via email with a simple, touch of a button, or typing in yes or typing in no. So once again, tying in that mobile piece of that need to be able to put data into your phone to kick off the workflow, but then also to push that workflow forward by sending simple commands, which the Workflow Cloud piece will take in and continue moving the ball forward. So since Nintex Workflow Cloud, you still need the ability to actually understand the type of workflows that you need. So they build some dashboard components which they're really continuing to work on developing these, and by Nintex Inspire, there's going to be a little bit even more robust. But currently, right now, they're going to give you the ability to understand the amount of workflows you published, how many you have in draft, and really give you an idea of what type of your workflow components that you have in your system, right? So see a summary of the key workflow assets and monitor usage trends over time. So people are driven by data analytics. They want to know, how much you're utilizing technology that you have. Nintex is taking this to account by having a platform to show this data, as well as some other key features which we'll show in the demonstration. With that as well, they wanted to show you the instances of the demos, which ones are complete, which ones are running, see where any type of issues might have. If a demo failed, you'll be able to pinpoint where it's at, so you can go back and get it quickly taken care of, taking a look at it. And also with that, they have done the ability to give you a workflow task, right? So you get an understanding of all the tasks with individual workflows, right? So if there's a bottleneck, you'll understand where there's a bottleneck. You'll have the ability to override all assigned workflow tasks, eliminate dependencies on specific individuals. So these are dashboard solutions which Nintex have developed and will continue to develop to make it easy to monitor the usage of the workflows that you have, the tasks associated with them, and also any type of bottlenecks which you have in your workflow solution. So with that, that is pretty much the end of the presentation. I'm going to take you into our demo environment that I created. Before we do that, I'm going to take you through a couple of different slides. Full disclosure, our demo environment is not as robust, so I just want to give you some ideas of what the workflow demo with more workflows looks like. Excuse me, I keep on saying workflow too much. But this is a screenshot from the Nintex environment. So 6 published, 1 draft with a total of 7. This is just one piece of the dashboard. Just to give you another example, this is one with more instant details to give you an understanding of how many have been completed, if something is in process, and then the next one obviously is going to be tasks associated. If what tasks are being run and where they're at in the process. So I'm going to take you now to our demo environment, but I wanted to make sure you were able to see what a little bit more robust platform looks like in Nintex Workflow Cloud. So we're going to close this and take you to the dashboard. And once again, this is our demo environment with a couple of demos that I've been able to build. As I said, the technology is only a couple weeks old, so as we move forward, we'll have more demonstrations and more workflows to show you. But you sign in, you log in, it brings you to this page. Over on the left-hand side, you have workflow instances, task search, as well as the connections, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But simply put, when you want to create a workflow, you click on the orange button and it takes you to that familiar canvas that I'm sure you're all familiar with. So first of all, something's a little bit different that you have in here. With the start event, right, you see before in Nintex SharePoint version, you didn't have the ability to edit this. This was something that was kind of a starting point, and you would put actions on top of that. Well, because you don't know where that data is coming from, you have the ability to, first of all, kind of configure that start event configuration. So your connectors can be from a variety of connection points that Nintex is allowing you to. First of all is Box, Citrix, SharePoint, ShareFile, Dropbox, CRM, OneDrive, Nintex, Salesforce, Twilio. We'll go into a little bit of this, but I think that's important to point out that how it's changed over here. On the left-hand side, you have all those regular actions that you're used to, right? The communication actions, express approval, making a decision on a task, sending an email, kind of those communication tools that you need. A large set of logic flow, branching by condition, branching by stage, looping, running parallel paths. So as the needs of your workflow change, you have these different types of tools which to make it more sophisticated to meet the needs of your business. Operations, right? So calculating a value, ending a workflow, setting a variable value, collection operations as well. So you have all these different types of tools which give you the ability to create the workflows that you want to. Also down below that you see you have your integration tools. Okay, so you have integration where you can call a web service or query a JSON. From the Salesforce perspective, creating a record, deleting a record, and we'll get into a little bit of that as well. So those connectors allow you to tie into those third-party applications to make those, the starting points are dumping data back into that or pulling more information into that. So you're not dependent upon SharePoint anymore. What you have is this workflow engine which is sitting in the cloud, and you connect to all these different devices to really create workflows which are meaningful for your organization. So with that, I'd like to demonstrate how you potentially could pull in that data from a multitude of different sources. As I was showing you, you have these different connectors, and one down here that you see is Nintex. When you click on Nintex, you see the different event that kicks it off. So first of all, you have Nintex Mobile, right? So this could connect to the Nintex Mobile app, Application Studio, which allow you to design handheld forms from your different devices that you have. You also have something called a public web form. So we're gonna click on that, and what we're going to do is create a data capture screen, right, which is going to capture information. In my case, since I'm in the sales world, I'm going to use the example of me being at a trade show. So I go to trade shows. Sometimes we have a marketing person, sometimes it's a partner, sometimes it's a consultant, but we're capturing sometimes information of people who visit our booth, and we put it into a computer. And either they want to receive information, or sometimes they want to be contacted by a salesperson. If they just want to be, they just say, hey, just send us information. Really don't want somebody to give me a call. We still send them the information, but we need a way to track that. But sometimes, they want a salesperson to contact them. In this case, for the hypothetical, we are at an HR conference where we are pitching the Nintex product line. So I am trying to capture information about the people who visit my booth. So the first thing I want to do is figure out, their first name, and it's going to be a text. Now, when you see the drop down, you capture information by text, decimal, integer, Boolean, or date and time. To simplify things, it's going to be a text name, which we're going to be grabbing. We're also going to grab their last name. It's going to be text again. I am going to want to know what their company is, okay? And I want to know their email. And I want to also know a product line. And the 3 product lines are SharePoint, Nintex Workflow Cloud, and Office 365. And maybe I want to say, when do you want to be contacted by? And we're going to make that a date and time. Okay, so I see all the different variables that I'm collecting: first name, last name, company name, email, product line, and I have to add my date and time. Okay, so now I've collected what the form is going to take a look like, and we'll show you that in a little bit. But now I got to add the different steps in between, right? So the first thing I need to do is determine if they want to get just information, if they want to be contacted by a salesperson. So I have branch by value, right? So I'm going to then select this branch and configure this branch. Just as you can see, very similar to the other Nintex. I can copy, I can rename it, and by clicking on configure, I'm configuring it, or I have the ability to delete it as well. Now I'm going to configure this, and I'm variable to evaluate. I'm going to be evaluating, one piece of information I forgot to add in this is, do they want to be contacted? So let's put this in there. And we're going to add that. And make sure it is added, and we're going to close this. So I am now going to configure my branch, and my variable that I'm going to select it to is going to be, do you want to be contacted by a salesperson? And my branch 1 is going to be new, I do not, and value 2 is going to be yes, if I can spell it. Okay, so now what happens? So based upon what choice we put into that form, either we're going to route it to the marketing person who is going to send them information, or we're going to route it to the salesperson to acknowledge who it should go to, right? So another piece that we need to do, we said, okay, wait a second, they might be interested in Office 365, they might be interested in Nintex Workflow Cloud, or they might be interested in SharePoint. So what I want to do is add another branch. Not add another branch. I wanted to delete that. Oh, I made a mistake. I'm going to do this quickly. The branch by value. I'm going to configure this. I'm going to select the variable. Little technical difficulties. Value 1. All right, so all right, do you want to be contacted by a salesman? Apologize about the delay. Branch 1, it's going to be no. Value 2, it's going to be yes. All right. So I also want to then add another branch by value based upon what they chose. If they want to be contacted about which individual product line. So value 1 is going to be Office 365. Value 2 is going to be SharePoint. And since we have a new product line, we're going to have a third value, which is going to be Nintex Workflow Cloud. We're going to call this MWC. Okay. All right, so based upon what they select in that branch value, they're going to be determined to actually receive a call from a salesperson. So now also what I want to do, I want to send them an approval. Send them an email based upon their selection. So if they say yes, they're going to receive an email. And so I'm going to put these all in here. And also we're going to send them an email if they want to be attached by, be contacted by the marketing person. So in here you have the ability to then configure what this email is. The email address, we're going to pull the variable once again from so they're aware of somebody else who is here, and thanks for attending the conference. I then have the ability to add some variables to personalize the message. I can grab their first name, insert it here, personalize the message, and say thanks for attending our show. Your information will be mailed to you by, and then I can do the variable insert from here as well. So what we've done is created a personal email. Which is directed to them based upon their own personal information. So I went ahead and kind of finalized what this email, what this workflow would look like already to kind of give you an idea. So as you can see, it's the same type of workflow. We have this send the email, show how it's configured. First name, thanks for stopping by our booth in Nintex Inspire. We'll send out by what product line, which is a variable of the form that we had. When do you want us to contact you by, the date, then obviously personalized information based upon what type of product line you selected. So when I publish this form, what is going to happen, it's going to give me a personal URL for this public web form. So if I copy this, I go to an opening here, and you will see that we have a trade show lead form. I'm going to say this is this personal email. I want to go to me here, and would you like to be contacted? I'm going to say yes. I want to be contacted by before Christmas. Submit, and I'm going to say I am with ABC, and my product line that I'm interested in is SharePoint. All right, so when I submit that, what it's going to do is going to send an email to my personal email address, but momentarily it's also going to send an email to my work email as well, because I put my name as somebody to be CC'd on there. So this is the email that I just received, right? So thanks for stopping by our booth and Nintex Inspire, and having interest in our capabilities. We'll reach out to you by then. So what I have been able to do is develop very quickly a very simple workflow, which allows me as a salesperson to be at an event, capture information, then automate that process of actually following up with that person very quickly, so that they know they have that touch point, and also maybe notifying another salesperson that they need to follow up with them. Very basic, very rudimentary. It's not enterprise level, but obviously, as you can see, you have the ability to create these things very quickly. Just to kind of show you some of the other capabilities that you have. So let's say we want to take this form to the next level. We want to automate this even more. So let's say I wanted to create a new record in my Salesforce account, right? So I want to create a new lead, and I want to create it from, if it's a marketing lead, or I want to create it as a sales, for a salesperson to follow up on, right? So when I configure this, what it does, it takes me over here to create a record, and I have a connection. So I have to, either I can add a new connection, or I've actually already pre-built a connection. And what this does is it pulls the Salesforce demonstration information in there, and then I have the ability to add different values that are in Salesforce to really, if I want to put any type of information from that public web form, I can do that to really actually take that automation one step further and automate it even more. And obviously I have the ability to provide more logic and flow into it. If I want to utilize Active Directory to pull names, I can certainly do that as well. And I'm sure Brad from the Nintex team certainly can answer any of those type of more technical questions that we have. The other thing I wanted to show you as well, this is an example of a workflow for a contract approval. So in this case, we are connecting to Microsoft OneDrive. And what happens when I put a file into the draft folder, once again, I am connected to Microsoft OneDrive for Business. It kicks off an email, and this email will go to, in this case, myself. You'll be notified, thank you for submitting a document. You'll be notified if your documents need rework or if it's approved. So based upon the decision maker, either they can reject it. If they reject it, it will move that file back into OneDrive in the rejected folder location. If they approve it, it will approve it. Or if they need to rework, it will be reworked and you will be notified as well. So once again, very simple solutions, but obviously can be very powerful, and hopefully you have the ability to kind of see some of the other pieces of technology, the other connectors that Nintex has provided for Microsoft's SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL. I'm going to turn things over to you, Brad, so you can talk a little bit more in depth about the connectors and obviously fill in any gaps that I missed. If you are there, sir.
Thank you so much, Matt. And first of all, I want to say great job. I think you covered everything terrifically well. So nicely done, my friend. Yes, I'd like to show off a couple more things. I do think I'm set up as a panelist, but not as a presenter or organizer, so you might just have to click on me. There you go. Perfect. That was fast. Okay. Let's go ahead and hop over to my environment, and I'll take you through a couple of other scenarios that I've got baked up for you. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. Matt, do you want to just confirm that for me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. All right, so what you're looking at here is, essentially taking a similar kind of scenario, maybe a little bit further from our lead request type of scenario where we're collecting metadata from a trade show. I just want to show you maybe just a little bit, scaling that out even just a little bit further and looking at it in a slightly different way. Notice in this particular case that instead of coming from a public web form, we're pulling data from the Nintex mobile application. So what we've gone ahead and done is simply gone in and defined several workflow variables up front. In this particular scenario, it's for a fictitious automotive company. So what you're looking at right here is, again, just a bunch of different variables for, this particular process. And in this case, once that data is collected, I'm going to run through two different parallel activities. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and set some values for whom should be acting as my sales manager, my sales rep, etc. And likewise, in the same breath, I'm going to go ahead and create some records inside of Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Now, I'm not going to run this workflow. I just want to kind of show you that, again, the complexity you can start layering on top of your solutions. So in this case, doing these things in parallel. After that, I'm actually going to go ahead and step through a state machine type of activity. So state machines, we've given them a friendlier name in the cloud. We actually call that branch by stage now because I think that's a little bit easier for folks to kind of wrap their heads around. So in this case, I have multiple stages or multiple states that I'd like to push this workflow through. In this case, I have my initial activities, so I'm sending thank you notes, using some of that conditional evaluation of the variables that are being collected. In this case, you know, if someone's budget is over $50,000, you know, let's go ahead and do this. In this case, I'm going to send a text message out to someone, in this case, who's my white glove salesperson. If not, you know, I'm going to go ahead and just in parallel sign you know, a text message to someone and send an email to a rep. And again, you know, you may be curious about why would you want to leverage a text message inside of a workflow. Well, text messages, oddly enough, have an engagement rate in the 80 to 90% range, whereas email is maybe 20 to 30%. So if you can reach your employees via that little, you know, powerful computer that's in their pocket all the time, it's a very powerful testament for how you can start being disruptive to a traditionally manual process. So again, in this case, you know, after we've, you know, reached out to our sales rep, what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and push it over to, you know, possibly a sales manager. In this case, you know, if the sales manager approves this particular contract being written, what we go ahead and do is, you know, using things like regular expressions and substringing, you know, we can start building out complex pieces of metadata by abstracting the data that's being pushed through the workflow engine itself. And then we can reach into things like Box and Dropbox and start creating content there. So as Matt had mentioned, you know, this is essentially our 1.0 offering. We wanted to bring this to market and get some people starting to build some, you know, sophisticated scenarios out. I would anticipate between now and February, about 13th or so, that's when we kick off the Nintex Inspire X conference. That's our user conference down in New Orleans. We're going to be introducing even more. So being a true SaaS type of platform, this is something that's going to be a constant evolution, and will constantly get a, you know, trickling of new features and functionalities introduced as time goes on. So I've actually seen, you know, our back end as far as, you know, the various connectors that we have, and there's even more. That's our secret. So as you can see, you know, there's a lot of great stuff going on inside of here, like integration with, you know, Slack and Zendesk and so on and so forth. But I would say stay tuned around the file handling aspect. That's going to become even more robust, and the ability to essentially route, you know, file data across, you know, various different scenarios. So a lot of neat stuff. Quickly before we wrap up, I'm also going to just show off briefly that Nintex mobile app and the integration into NWC, just because I think that's pretty darn compelling stuff. So what you should be able to see momentarily, hopefully, good old reflector should be showing my screen. And hey, look at that. Looks like it's going to go. So what I've got here is my iPad. And down here at the bottom, I've got a bunch of Nintex mobile apps. Now, you may be familiar with, like Matt had mentioned, we have Nintex Forms for Office 365. Well, a function that we introduced a couple years ago was Nintex Mobile, and that's essentially a standalone, discrete mobile application to allow you to interact with Nintex workflows in a very organic kind of way from, again, that device that's in, you know, millions of our pockets. So having that native look and feel for your forms is a very powerful testament to, you know, the adaptability of process automation using Nintex. So with that being said, down at the bottom again, you're going to look and see, you know, Nintex Mobile, and this is essentially the standard or free version of Nintex, but we also have something that we call an App Studio version of Nintex Mobile. And App Studio is a browser-based or a web-based portal where you can go and essentially build a custom version of Nintex Mobile. And what I mean by that is you just simply go in and, you know, you upload some graphics and maybe change the name of the app, and then with a single click of a button you can create a package to be able to be deployed via your mobile device management suite, or even over the air via an email to your users. But that would really allow you to have a custom dev look and feel to this offering. Now in this case, I was taking you through my fictitious lead, you know, management type of scenario. And again, what if I had somebody out in the field collecting this metadata? So down here at the bottom, you're going to notice Carco Motors. So if I go ahead and I tap on that, you're going to see my my Nintex mobile app open up, and right there I've got sales lead management process. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap on that little guy, and you'll see all those metadata fields that I can go ahead and populate. So, you know, I can go through, populate my date, my last name, so on and so forth. Everything's in there. Again, this could just be test. so on and so forth. Looks great. And this is where I start getting into those dollar amounts. If I put in, over $50,000, it's going to route a specific way, etc. Now, again, the testament of using this type of interface is the fact that Nintex Mobile can run in a completely disconnected state. So we don't have to always be connected back to the internet to be able to cache these submissions. So again, if you're on a trade show floor or in a parking lot at the dealership, or meeting with a customer at dinner, there's no need to always make sure you're connected to the internet to be able to submit these. They would simply cache or queue up on the mobile device until that connectivity was restored. So pretty powerful stuff. Now beyond that, the other thing that I just want to call out briefly is just some of that flexibility inside of NWC itself. So if I tap on Safari, you're going to notice that I've got, let me go ahead and make that a little bigger here. So what you're going to see here is I'm actually logged into NWC from my mobile device. Now, why that's interesting is, notice here if I create workflow, it's going to go ahead and load up the browser-based design experience right here on my iPad. But again, this is talking about that intuitiveness of the design interface. So I'm using an iPad, but this could be a Surface Hub, this could be a Surface tablet, this could be any other kind of device that I can drag and drop. But notice here, these actions are touch-enabled. So I can actually start modeling out my process in a very intimate way with folks inside of the business. So I can go ahead and go, oh, you know what, is this the the data that we want to start working with? And again, you have that look and feel of working with the customer in a very your internal customer in a very organic kind of fashion. So again, just a pretty slick feature and function of the product, and this is really the future of the Nintex platform, if you will. With that being said, I know we've got about 13 minutes left, so we're probably going to open it up for some Q&A, but the one last thing that I'm going to throw out there, I know Matt and I kind of talked about this beforehand, was the future of reporting. And I just want to quickly cover that, because even though we don't have a fully featured reporting functionality for NWC just yet, that's just because we're still working on it. You may be aware that we introduced something called Nintex Hawkeye over this past summer, and we're supporting our SharePoint products from an analytics perspective. And we're currently in the development process of bringing that over to this NWC space as well. And I think a really unique feature of that as well is that I can easily marry up my SharePoint-centric types of workloads that I've automated with Nintex Workflow, as well as NWC, in a single portal. So I can actually build analytics across my workflow practice. So I think it's a pretty compelling use case that you have with being able to get very granular data about not only the telemetry associated with a workflow, but also business data that you may be manipulating. So just to quickly talk about that, the Hawkeye capability in NWC should be available again by our user conference. So in just a couple months, we'll see this. But again, just to give you a kind of a little taste of what this is going to look like, this is something that's available today for, again, the SharePoint sibling of NWC. And again, all of this rich data that we're collecting as workflows execute, we can surface that in these visually appealing Power BI embedded dashboards. So we're actually, speaking of, various competencies with Microsoft, Nintex is a Microsoft Gold ISV, and we're also a Microsoft Gold Cloud partner as well. So that means we do a lot of business with Microsoft, and we're very pleased with where they're going with a lot of their capabilities. So we wanted to be able to offer things like this great analytics functionality built into our Hawkeye product. So essentially it's a turnkey types of solution. But keeping in mind, as nice as this may look and as valuable as this template of data may work for our specific use case, we may have deeper use cases where we have to customize this even further. With that being said, you're going to notice too, if I scroll right down to the bottom, I can actually plug this data set into the full version of Power BI. So if I'm a Microsoft Office 365 E5 customer, not a problem. I can plug this right into Power BI. Or you're going to notice right over here, I have an OData connection. I can easily plug this data into anything that can read an OData feed. So that could be anything from Microsoft Excel to things like ClickView and Tableau, and there's a myriad of different reporting solutions. So I can easily cube out my Nintex-centric data against other analytic data that I would like to get a better insight into inside of my business. Now again, that was just our usage lens, which shows you that process type of data. But just real quick, the other lens that I wanted to show you was, a lot of people talk to us about things like building dashboards. We want to know what the status of our process is. Well, we have the concept of these beacons that we can place inside the workflow design. So these actions will be available inside of NWC in the very near future, and these will allow you to easily drag and drop an action into the workflow design canvas that will allow you to specify name value pairs that you would like to report on. So what that means is, if you're getting deep into analytics, when you're taking it from being that business process automation story and you're trying to turn it into a business process improvement story, you'll have this ability to surface business-centric data without having to write it back to SharePoint lists or tables inside of SQL, things like that. I can easily surface that metadata directly into this Hawkeye reporting portal. So what that allows me to do is do things like define stages for my workflows. So I can easily see in my fictitious contract management scenario here what stage a workflow is in. And after that, if there's maybe an SLA associated with it, or look at this particular screen here. I can go, gee, why is it that the folks in Seattle are writing more contracts than the folks in LA? It's being able to visualize more abstract data sets that you're essentially touching with the Nintex workflow. And again, I said the magic word, SLAs, we typically have those service level agreements in a lot of our processes, and we want to know if those are being infringed upon. So we definitely can surface that kind of data because we know during the workflow execution when things start, when they end, as well as all of the associated metadata that's being correlated against that execution of the workflow. So again, very granular types of data set, and again, easily visualized with Power BI embedded, but we could take this again to the next level and import these standards-driven types of data sets to virtually any type of reporting portal. And the last thing I'll simply say with NWC itself is, again, standards-driven. It's all built with containers and built with APIs. So there's a full suite of interoperability from any kind of custom solutions that you may have integrated, or any other type of custom systems you may have that you would like to integrate with Nintex Workflow. You can easily do that. You can simply call a Nintex Workflow Cloud workflow by making a REST service call. So it's a very robust system to be able to span across those myriad of line of business applications you have. And I think the term that we like to use at Nintex is, we're really looking at it as, the heterogeneous environments are really the new homogeneous, so it's really all about connecting everything everywhere all the time. So that being said, looks like we have about 7 minutes left. I'm going to defer back to you, Matt. Any questions, comments, concerns? Feel free to throw them my way. Thanks.
Yeah, Brett, we had one question that came in. How about integration with SharePoint? It's something I forgot to miss.
Excellent question. So we're actually building that out right now. So that's going to be fully in the very near horizon for where we're going with the product. So we expect to have full interoperability in the first quarter or two of calendar year 17. So that's all being built out. I can tell you, it's actually, I've seen some stuff working, so it's getting there. So it's just a matter of the dev teams, pounding through that, but they're doing, really amazing work right now, and I would expect that kind of seamless back and forth to happen sooner than you could possibly imagine. And that being said, this is where I sneak into, you can see I'm playing inside of my environment, but I'm going to hop over to real quick. I'm going to see if I can show it to you. I just upgraded to the most recent build of Nintex Workflow 2013 on my on-prem version, and I did want to show you, and again, it might not let me, but I did want to show you too that if you are using our classic SharePoint-based products, we now do have that interoperability to be able to reach in and kick off an NWC workflow directly from inside of an Nintex workflow for SharePoint. So in this case, I'll try and get into the workflow designer real quick just to show you, hopefully. Again, this is my test environment, so if it's all broken, it's totally my fault. Yeah, okay. As I mentioned, there's those little beacons. So if I want to surface, Hawkeye data about a workflow, these are going to be available in NWC in the not too distant future. But again, a picture is always worth 1,000 words. If you want to be able to, surface a lot of specific data about what's happening in the workflow, super easy to do with Hawkeye. But no, the one I wanted to show you is right here. So in the latest build of Nintex Workflow 2013 and 2016, you can easily start these workflows. And the cool thing is once I connect it, if I copy and paste the external start URL, it'll actually grab all of the variables for me. And again, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, if I go to this guy right here, I'm actually going to grab the external start URL. So notice again, this may look scary, but from a development perspective, this is so easy. Chances are my 9-year-old could probably do this now that she's pretty wired into things. But I could easily go in here and say, oh, you know what? This is the external start URL for this particular Nintex Workflow Cloud workflow, and then I can hop back over to my on-prem version of SharePoint, hit connect, and what this is going to do is it's going to interrogate that. Oh, and you know what? Because I'm probably using the wrong one. Let me try and use this one. With token, without token. Let me see which one I have to use. And I apologize, I've only done it like once because we just introduced it. So if I paste this one in here, let me see if it's going to let me use that one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what happens is when you tie it back to the specific external start URL for that NWC workflow, notice how it's smart enough to grab the various variables. And I could, of course, like anything, put a static value in there, but that's not very dynamic. If I click over here on my little picker, this is where I can get into that insert reference dialog and grab various elements from the SharePoint item. Oh, my leave type. I want to pass that along right here. Now again, obviously this isn't for the same purpose, but the point is that interoperability between all or across all of our products, that's really where we're going with the product stack. So when we say Nintex Workflow Platform, we're really talking about the on-premises version of Nintex Workflow, the on-premises version, or excuse me, the SharePoint Online version of Nintex Workflow, as well as NWC. So we really want that to span across all of those environments. And nice thing is, too, our subscription-based pricing model allows you to consume these workflows in any one of those different environments or across multiple environments. So whatever makes sense for your organization, you can certainly do that.
Thanks for the very thorough answer. Are there any other questions out there? Shannon, I'm not seeing any, but do you have, is there any other questions that the group has?
Yes, we did have one question come in earlier. Someone asked whether or not the session was being recorded, and so I just wanted to open up the answer to everybody on the line. It has been recorded and will be available to all the attendees.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon.
All right, we'll give everybody a minute to think of another one. While we're waiting, we're coming up on the 4 o'clock hour, so we'll obviously send a follow-up email to all the participants, and but certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me or whatever email is attached to the follow-up email about Nintex Workflow Cloud, or Nintex, or whatever it may be. We certainly have more of an in-depth conversation, get people such as Brad involved if necessary. As I said, we also have developers who are familiar with it too, so certainly CDH is more than capable to have those conversations and welcome the chance to understand a specific use case and talk a little bit more about how Nintex Workflow Cloud could be a solution for it. So certainly please don't hesitate to contact us, and appreciate everybody sitting through this demonstration today.
And Matt, if you don't mind, I just want to throw in there, the reason I was clicking back up here at the top of our Nintex page is the free trials. I mean, that's one thing. The proof is certainly in the pudding, and I would implore you to reach out to Matt and the team at CDH, because they can help you with that trial experience. They can spin up a trial of, again, the on-premises bits as well as NWC, and really help you kind of, embrace that digital transformation journey with Nintex. So please reach out to the team and kick the proverbial tires.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Shannon, anything else coming?
Nope, I think that is it question-wise. In the follow-up email, you'll also receive a link to a feedback survey. So if you want to go ahead and fill that out, tell us how we did, maybe what you're looking for in the future regarding Nintex. And thank you very much for attending.
Thanks, everybody.